Love Bugs, this is your girl JB, and today I want to talk about self-worth. What is self-worth? What is self-worth of oneself? How do you have self-worth or start to build self-worth if you have been torn down and talked about and hurt and broken? How do you start to build up your worth of yourself and understand your own personal value? How do you start to see yourself in a new light, and a light where you are truly beautiful, magnificent, talented, creative, smart, um, just all these different things? How do you start that process? How do you start that journey? Like always, I like to speak from my own experiences, and I like to speak from the things that I've been through, because that's where I've gained a lot of, I feel, wisdom in my life. So one of the things that really helped me, obviously, was art. That was something that I really gravitated to. I'm really good with colors. I'm really good with shapes and things like that. So when I started to do art, when I started to paint and go to the studio on a regular basis, it really helped me to see my self-worth. And how it helped me to see my self-worth was because I was able to see that there was something in me that was beautiful. And I really didn't know that I could paint before. I mean, I know that I liked painting, and I went to school briefly when I was younger, after high school, and took some classes like color theories and things like that, but I never finished. And I always knew that I had a passion for art and painting and colors and things like that, but I didn't know I was able to do that. And so when I would go to the studio and I would paint, I would come home, and at the end of the day, and I would set the paintings that I made by my bed, and I would tell myself, if I could paint something this beautiful, if something this beautiful is coming out of me, then it must be something good about me. Because honestly, prior to that, I didn't feel like it was anything good about me. I didn't feel like I had anything to offer, because I had been torn down for so long. I had been broken. I had been, my self-esteem, my self-worth, my my personality, my creativity, my thoughts, my ideas, my concepts, my visions, everything that I ever, wanted to do or wanted to achieve, or felt like I had in this life, I felt like was torn down. I always felt like I was overlooked. I always felt like I was just not important. I didn't matter. You know, I I I just felt like people just saw me as non-existent. I felt invisible. And so when I was able to paint, and I felt like I was able to express myself um, through the colors, through the art, through the canvas, it spoke to me, and it made so much sense for me to be able to put my thoughts into art form, into colors, and express myself. That's why I always use like bright, bold colors, because that was a way to help me speak, because I didn't feel like I had a voice. And that was a way to help me really on the journey of me building my self confidence, my self esteem, my self worth, my self value. But it did take time. And if you are someone that has experienced a lot of challenges, a lot of difficulties in relationships, as a child, if you were abused, neglected, abandoned, you didn't get that love that you needed and was so deserving of, then it's very difficult sometimes to build up your self confidence, to build up your self worth, to build up your self esteem, because you are always looking at yourself through the eyes of others that were probably very critical of you and didn't understand you, or didn't really know how to um, care for you. And so we have um, this very interesting way of, when we have a low self-esteem or low self-worth, constantly being around other people who have low self-esteem and low self-worth, and attracting the same kind of people into our lives to kind of I want to say uh, affirm what we already feel about ourselves. So I know for me, I would think, how come I keep attracting the same type of people, friends, or men? Like in the beginning, they would seem really nice, but then as time would go on, like their true personality or true self would show up, and then they would be mean and hurtful and disrespectful and demeaning and belittling and degrading towards me. And I couldn't figure out why. And I finally said to myself, well, maybe it's something that is in me, because every single person that I seem to be around or attract has the same personality. They act the same. It's just a different person, a different face, but the same person. It felt as though that was the case. And so, like I said, what really helped me, one of the things that helped me is art. But what can help, because that's just my personal story. Somebody may not feel like they like to paint. They may not be where they feel like they are very artistic, or that's something that they have an interest in doing. Another thing is, writing, or finding something that you are good at, and finding something that you like, something that you enjoy, even if it's something small, even if it's something different, even if it's something unique to you, to your personality, to your character. Finding something that you can do that shows you that you have something in you that is of value, that's important, that's special, that's worthwhile, that's meaningful, and start to build from there. That's just kind of like building a foundation for your self-esteem, building a foundation for your self-worth, and being able to see yourself in another light, being able to see yourself from another perspective, especially if you have a lot of experiences with, like I said, with being in negative environments, toxic environments, toxic relationships, toxic spouses, toxic parents, toxic siblings. Just if you have a lot of experiences being around those type of situations, it can be difficult to start to feel good about yourself. But that's one thing. Another thing is you have to set boundaries for yourself and for others. You want to not allow, once you start your process of healing, you want to not allow people to disrespect you or demean you or belittle you. Once you start to know your worth and value, and you start to build, you don't have to engage. And it may be difficult, because sometimes you may feel like you're being triggered, especially if it's with someone that you have a history of repeating that negative cycle of arguing and, demeaning each other. It's difficult to kind of pull away from that, and you may be triggered. And I did another video kind of explaining about triggers and what triggers are, and how we are affected, and our brain is affected with triggers. But just start to become aware when that situation is happening, and just say to yourself, I deserve more than this, and I'm just going to step away now, or I'm going to pull away, or I'm not going to engage. I had to get to a point where I did that with my children's father, because a lot of times I would initiate the arguments because I was hurt and I was broken, and I wanted answers. I wanted him to explain things to me. I wanted him to make sense of things that I felt like didn't make sense. And so I would provoke an argument because I was trying to get him to communicate and talk to me and explain things to me. And once I started to become healthy, and I did that for years, and once I started to become healthy, I realized that I didn't need to do that anymore. And so when the conversation would go left, then I was able to pull away. Now, for a long time, he started setting his own boundaries, and he would just hang up on me. And I would call back and he wouldn't answer. But then I finally got to a point where I realized that this was not getting anywhere, and it wasn't productive, and it was just making me more upset, more hurt, more angry, and more frustrated. And and I didn't want to feel that way. So I had to realize and say, this isn't working. And the issues that I have with him, and that I felt like were unresolved. They may never get resolved in my lifetime with him. I have to find other ways and other methods to get my issues resolved. And that's kind of what I started to do. I started to look at other avenues to help me deal with the things that I felt like was hurting me and causing me to be angry and causing me to continue to have this toxic type of cycle with him, which just kind of continue to perpetuate me feeling not worthy and me feeling like my self-esteem was low because he wouldn't talk to me, or he would hang up on me, or he would tell me I had problems, and then I wanted to continue with that because I was still wounded and hurt. But like I said, that's one of the things to kind of start to pull back when you notice that, become aware and say, I want to be healthy. I'm on a health journey. I'm wanting to pull away from toxic relationships and just pull back. And it takes time. It took me years. So none of this stuff that I'm sharing did I just wake up one day and I had all the answers like, oh, it's a perfect little world. No, it took me a very long time, and it took me years, and I'm still on my learning journey. And I always say that it's still a journey for me. I'm still learning. I'm still growing. I'm still maturing. I'm still figuring things out. But I just feel like I have came so far from where I used to be when I first started this journey. And I just feel like when I first started this journey, if there was content and videos and things like what I'm creating, it would have helped me be able to hack through some of the things that took me so long to navigate through, because I never saw anybody like myself going through the things that I was going through. I never saw anybody experiencing exactly what I was experiencing at the times when I was experiencing. And so I just felt like it would have helped me. And so that's why I create these videos, because I feel like someone will be able to benefit if they're just starting their journey, if they're going through this and the different things are new to them, the ideas and concepts and phrases. Like, all these things were all very new to me. They were all very foreign to me when I first started. I had no concept of that. I feel like a little, street girl that grew up in LA, and I didn't understand any of this stuff. And it took me a long time to be able to adapt and grow and mature into my new identity with someone that's more grounded, someone that's more assured, someone that's more confident, someone that's more respectful, first of all, of myself, and then others, to be able to forgive. That wasn't my motto. Anybody that knows me from the past knows that that's not the way I saw the world. I was very angry person, and I was like that for years, but it took me time, and it takes time. I wanted to read a quote that is from I think it's quotes.com. It says, "You yourself, as much as anybody else in the entire universe, deserves your love and affection. If you have the ability to love yourself first. It's as unconditional love to give to yourself. As you do, you will attract others into your life who will love you without conditions." So basically, you want to love yourself first. And when I say love yourself, I don't mean love yourself in a selfish sense, like, oh, I love myself, I'm loving myself right now, I don't have time for you. That's not what I mean. That's not what it means. And it's not, even sometimes for me, and I'll be completely honest and transparent, there's a scripture in the Bible, and I don't know exactly where it was, that says, like, in the last days, people will be lovers of themselves. And that always bothered me psychologically, because I felt like that was a bad thing. Like, I don't want to be a lover of myself, because that's not good. But I think that scripture is more focusing on people loving of their self in the sense of a selfish way, of a love of their self where they have no compassion, no care, no concern for anyone else. Their needs come first, and that's it, and that's all. And it doesn't matter how you feel or their actions affect you. I think that's what it means. But for me, I didn't understand that. So I struggled with that for years because I was like, I don't want to be one of those people. But for me, the understanding of loving myself now is just taking care of myself, doing the things that help me to be healthy on a regular basis. Just like any lifestyle change, in order for it to actually be effective, you need to do it on a consistent basis. And then you can see the benefits in your life change. And you can see your life, like transform, really, just really transform. I just really enjoy making these videos. I hope that this video is helpful. I hope that it's informative. I always hope that you get something out of it and it's inspiring and encouraging, and know that whatever situation that you're in, wherever you are in your journey, that it will and it definitely can get better. And as always, thank you for watching. This is your girl JB. Until next time, peace and blessing. Thank you.